What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this Monday night. It is December 19th, 2022. It's about 9:15 p.m. California time here along the West Coast, where it's foggy and somewhat cold, about 38 degrees here on the home front. Got some activity kicking up around the Easter Island area. The latest quake, though, shows a 2.0 up into the Alaska area. All right, let's go ahead and jump over here to the USGS map, showing some activity out here in the Easter Island area, just south there of the area of this region here, along the plate boundary between the Antarctica plate and it's going to be the Nazca plate. Out here, a couple small earthquakes kicking up here. Looks like we did have a 4.6 and a 5.0, and basically within a few minutes of each other. We have seen a little bit of prior movement here along the Chile area up against the Peru-Chile Trench. Now we do need to watch this zone for possibly some further activity following this movement out here along that plate boundary. Looking at the USGS and EMSC model here, looks like we did have some threes, some recent earthquake activity here, aside from those ones showing up here on the USGS map. So we'll watch this area possibly for some further increasing activity. Off the coast of Panama there, a 4.4 coming in earlier this evening time period, about 10 kilometers deep there for that defaulted depth of that earthquake. Looks like it is just off the coast. And some activity once again around the Puerto Rico Trench. This area has been kicking up here pretty recently, with quite a few threes and whatnot in the region here. All right, looking at the states, not a whole lot going on, I would say. It looks pretty calm. I think everyone's gearing up for the cold snap, super cold snap. Arctic front is coming down here Wednesday, Thursday time frame for portions of the, it's dipping down into Florida here. It's supposed to be having some very cold temperatures as well, even down into the Florida region. All right, looking at earthquake activity, though, not a whole lot over there on the eastern portion of the country. Northwestern Pacific plate, or the Pacific Northwest, I should say. A little bit of activity. Looks like some smaller quakes outside of Seattle today. And up around the Mount Baker area, seeing a little bit of swarming. Nothing major yet, just kind of keeping an eye on that. We'll check out the Mount Baker seismograph station here in just a little bit. Little activity here along this fault system. Couple different faults here, very small. Well, they got it set as one fault system, but there's a little bit of segments. Here's a word I'm looking for. A couple different segments here. South of the Crater Lake area of Oregon. Got a 1.3 near Prospect, Oregon. All right, California region, not seeing a whole lot of activity whatsoever. We did see a little two-pointer here, 2.2, just outside of the Petrolia area, about 11 kilometers deep into this area of the Cascadia subduction zone. Now let's go ahead and give a quick trimmer here, a quick look at the trimmer, and shows zero epicenters of tremor tonight. We'll check back tomorrow, though, see if that's correct or not. Sometimes they do put out the activity a little late, but over the past couple days we have been seeing some activity there into the northern California area. 1218, 1217, there it is. Looks like maybe yesterday 1218 was just confined up north, but definitely seen some activity stretching down here into the tremor area of the Cascadia. Kind of showing some of that activity ramping up there around the northern California area today with some of that, a little bit of that movement, some small quakes. Not a whole lot going on throughout the rest of the state. It looks like some pretty spotty activity, 1.4 near the Bodfish area. Aside from that, general plate movement out here along this major plate boundary on the Pacific side of the plate boundary up against the San Jacinto fault zone. Seeing quite a bit of microquake activity, but I don't think we've seen anything above the 2.5 today. In fact, nada down there in the Southern California area above 2.5. Nevada, yeah, a little bit of activity stretching up. Yellowstone National Park, I'm not seeing anything being reported. But for fun, let's go ahead and check out the seismographs just to make sure and see what we have. And confirmation shows that there's not a whole lot. Some very small specks of spikes there, indicating some very small microquakes over the last 24 hours. But that's about it. Nothing major going on. Up into Alaska, we did notice some little bit of swarming out here in certain areas. One area is going to be around the Trident volcano. Along this little mountain range here. There's a couple other volcanoes in this in that region. A little bit of swarming kicking up here today, and also to the west here, down around this little crater area. Seeing some movement just to the southwest here of what is that, Vent Mountain area. So we'll keep an eye on that. Either way, definitely seeing some a little bit of activity, a little uptick around the Anchorage area, Denali as well. Overall general seismic activity on the increase around the Alaska region currently. Western Pacific, pretty quiet once again. But it's not always going to be quiet like that, folks. It really won't be. It's been that way for a while, though. Around the Bismarck Sea, we did have a 4.6. That's just outside the Papua New Guinea area. Super deep earthquake, 537 kilometers there into this very I can't really say sensitive, but very complex fault system and subduction zone out here. Solomon Sea, the Bismarck Sea area sees a lot of deeper movement, but also some large earthquakes have taken place out here historically. We'll watch for some further further movement here in the area, just due to that deeper earthquake activity. Does tend to stir up some earthquakes there. Who knows when it's going to happen, though? I mean, it may take a couple hours, it may take a couple days following that deeper movement. All right, nothing going on here. Kind of surprise across the Kermadec Trench region. Just want to double check. Nothing being reported here from the EMSC either. These 4-pointers are pretty old. They should be dropping off the 24-hour map here pretty soon. So honestly, we haven't really seen any activity out here across the Fiji area, Kermadec Trench, New Zealand, all pretty quiet. 3.2 down here into the Australia area. Even then, that's kind of an older quake there with the pink or the light-colored rings. There's that deep earthquake there. A little bit of activity across the Java Trench and Indonesia area. But past couple days here, just been little hit and miss earthquake activity. We haven't really seen any major uptick anywhere across the region, but looking maybe possibly with this activity into the south towards the Easter Island area, we should be watching the Peru-Chile Trench here, South America region, up against the plate boundary there, that subduction zone, for some activity. Either way, it's not always active here on the earthquake, in the earthquake department. Things kind of come and go. And right now it's just a little on the, about the moderate side of earthquake activity. Across the Mediterranean, seeing some movement across Morocco, off the coast there. A couple ones and some twos there on the earthquake 3D globe. And let's see what else. Hawaii, the Big Island. Got to check that. Got to keep updated on that. Still some further movement around the Kilauea volcano. I believe that's just some adjustment there at the lava lake areas. I don't think we're seeing any uptick, any renewed input of magma down around the Pahala area. Of course, this is very typical movement with that earthquake activity. So things returning somewhat back to normal there around the Big Island. Let's do a quick glance here of the seismographs. Let me make sure I got the most recent updated map here. Key this up, see what we have. Looks like we're missing a little bit of data here on the 12-hour one. Seeing this type of activity looks like wind. Let me check out a quick glance here at the windy map and see what we have for wind out there around the Big Island. Now I know it has been kicking up around that area. Actually, look at the summit regions there around Mauna Loa, and these are probably being somewhat lenient with those gusts. Here's a different model showing some higher wind gust up here around Mauna Loa, up maybe around 70 miles an hour. 72 miles an hour up there. Holy smokes. It's supposed to be a little bit windier, I think, as that low pressure system here kind of interacts around the Pacific. So I believe that's what we're seeing out there on the seismograph station there that I showed you there at Mauna Loa. Look, this is an older one, I believe. But either way, wind events do make a little bit of environmental noise on the seismographs. And tilt, I'm sure tilt is still continuing as far as inflation goes around the area. Let me pull in here just a little bit, and I don't want to see the camera. Let me see. Back out of here. Tilt meter. See what we got. Past week. Notice that. There's a little droppage there. So this is kind of a little newer development. We have been noticing an increase here of the tilt since the eruption stopped there at Mauna Loa back around the 10th of this month. It's been gradually increasing, but now we're noticing a decline here. So we'll see how this plays out. My birds, they never stop. I can make it totally dark, and my parakeets will still just chirp, chirp, chirp. Goodness. Oh, the life of a bird. All right, what else do we have here? We're going to check out Mount Baker, volcanic seismicity map here. Kind of curious to see. I know this volcano up here is not very, it's not monitored a lot. It looks like most of these stations here are spread out. I don't even know if this one's operational. Let's see what it looks like here around Mount Baker. They're in Washington. And yeah, it's a little overblown. Let me see what the activity looks like here. Not a whole lot. These look like some type of adjustments here, I believe. It doesn't really look like earthquakes, but then again, this station here may not be of the best format there, but stand by for a second. Check out one of these other ones. I thought I'd seen one up here. Mount Baker ski area. And this one looks a little bit better as far as reading certain signals, certain signatures. A couple of small spikes there, it looked like, and those could be the ones that were showing up on the earthquake map. And of course, yesterday's not working. So either way, just a little bit of earthquake activity here and there. Not seeing any major uptick anywhere. And just quiet in certain areas. New Zealand. Let's check out the New Zealand area here real quick and see what we have across the region with GeoNet servers. Looks like a 2.6, 10 kilometers west of Taupo supervolcano. Wonder if that's stirring up again. Let's go ahead and check that. Volcano drum around Taupo volcano. That's going to be this seismograph station here, and that's going to be that 2.6 showing up. But that's about it, and that was actually about 10 kilometers west of here. So one little earthquake, no major swarms, no major movement. Things are, they look pretty calm. There is a little bit of odd readings on this other drum here. What's that? Mount Tarawera? Is that right? Hopefully. Showing up. Some of that reading there showing up on these other seismograph stations. So looks as though that is definitely some legit activity. And it appears that it's closest here around the around this station. Let's see here. So, well, we'll get back and double check that tomorrow sometime, see if we can find out more info on it. Space weather activity A little chance of some minor storms this week, it looks like. The NOAA forecasters say there's a chance of a minor G1 storm on December 21st when a side-by-side pair of solar wind streams are expected to graze Earth's magnetic field. So that is coming from a coronal hole. And I know that's not a big one, definitely not a big one, but it looks like maybe some activity headed around the 21st time frame here in a couple days. Current sunspot activity, as you can see, still pretty numerous. I believe 3169 here is the sunspot to watch. Let me bring up the SDO images here. Get a look at this magnetic structure of the sunspot region here. And it looks like, man, that's got a pretty lengthy tail here. Actually, a bunch of different sunspots, but in one region. Definitely got to watch this area here in the coming days, as that will be headed towards the Earth view anyway. And looks like there's a little bit of complex instability there with the sunspots, so we'll watch that pretty closely. Solar flare threat. Get back over here to the space weather site. And solar flare threat looks like, let's see here, stand by for a second. I'm kind of burned out on the snow. Went up to the snow again, and I am just something about being out in the super cold weather and then heating yourself back up. I don't know, it does something to the body. I feel pretty burned out right now. Let's see what we got. M class. That was updated pretty recent, looks like. 30% chance for an M flare. X flare looks like about 10% or so. And the current data on the solar X-ray chart here is going to be right there in that window. And right now looks like we just got some C flare activity. Not a whole lot of M flares currently. Of course, that was a couple days ago when we had that, I think it was 3165 facing Earth. Popped off about 35 M flares in a 3 to 4 day time span. That was pretty impressive. But now we're still sizzling, still crackling with some C flares. We'll watch that for some potential intensifying here in the coming hours and days from again, a couple newer sunspots. All right, guys, stay safe. You know, it's kind of like round and round she goes, but the next earthquake, who knows? Definitely kind of spread out, but we got our quiet zones. We got to watch New Zealand area northward now through Fiji, and of course the very quiet Kuril-Kamchatka Trench and the Mariana Trench area. Western Pacific Ring of Fire has been quiet for a little while. All right, guys, have yourself a good night. Stay safe out there, and we will be back sometime tomorrow morning. Unless something changes, we'll definitely jump in. Have a good night, folks. Catch you guys a little bit later.